Hello and welcome to the third series of Weekend Live with Hashtag. I'm Vidisha, your host of the day. Today we have a very special guest joining in, and today we have a very special guest joining in, Tuhina Raj, who is a former banker, now marketer, and also with her daily dosage of words, she heals us and soothes us and allows us to reflect. So Tuhina Raj I'll let you know a lot of details about the moniker she goes behind, Words of Worth. So till Tuhina Raj joins in, so we will have a interactive session. Hello everyone. Hello. So in the daily grind, we are aware that we lose touch with the creative lives of us. But Tuhina Raj has made sure that she effectively matches her work life and her passion for career. Tuhina Raj is also a speaker, a TEDx speaker. She also has been invited to judge a lot of open mic events, and she's a writer who has grown up in social media. She is a founder and creator of Words of Worth. So we will have a very interactive, fun session with Tuhina today, knowing about what went behind this moniker. So Tuhina, Vila Tuhina. Okay. Give me a second. I'll just add Tuhina Raj. Okay, so Tuhina Raj is a writer, and I guess she's joining in a while now. And so until then, please, we are a digital lifestyle magazine, and we do interactive weekend sessions. We do have interviews with people and also artists around the city and around the India. With us. Hello, Tuhina. How are you doing? I hope you had a great start to this weekend.
I did. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Yes. So again, a brief introduction about Tuhina. Tuhina is now she's a former banker and now a marketer, and as well as she has maintained her passion for writing, even with the corporate work, like even managing her corporate work life. Right, Tuhina?
Right, I have. Somehow.
Yes. So how like the Words of Worth, your moniker, like it has sparked in like so through social media, where a lot of writers and artists have difficulty, like uh, having a platform in social media. So how was your journey so far?
It's been what, 6 years almost, going to be 6 years in January. I started when I
Yeah.
was in my final year of college, and that was when this entire concept of, you know, creating on the internet, sharing your work for free was being introduced. So I started at that point in time. Obviously, it's been a gradual sort of, process in which people have, come to like my work or recognize me or, enjoy my work. So I have seen, that moniker, as you said, Words of Worth, grow um, from say a tiny blog which was very personal to something that resonates with so many people, and that every day sort of leaves me feeling so happy, that
Yes.
what somebody wants as when they're writing or sharing their work publicly is to be acknowledged, is to be made to feel that there are other people thinking in the same way as you are. And I'm so glad to
Mm.
have found that my work has resonated with people. Really, it's surreal.
Yes. Have you always thought of being a writer and growing
uh
up in this?
That's a deep question. No, I haven't, but I have always known that I have loved words more than numbers or anything else. So I personally feel that there are two kinds of people. There are people who see the world with numbers, and there are people who see the world with stories and poems and words. And I've known that I've always been the latter kind. So yeah, I've always known that this is something I thoroughly enjoy, and I would love to do more in the space of, say, creativity, writing, and all of that. But I've never really consciously sort of made a decision that, hey, I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that, or I want to focus on particularly this. In fact, I think to get a sort of nuance in your writing, you should be open to everything. I think that's the fodder for you to be able to keep creating, which is why I
Yes.
don't think of myself as a writer or whatever. I think of myself as just somebody who's observing the world and trying to put her observations in the form that more people can read and resonate with.
Yes, absolutely. So there's this quote that strikes me, okay? It's
Hmm.
by Laila Akita. She's the
Mhm.
author of Think Great, which says use your unique gifts and talents and make a difference in the world. And since the time I have known you, I have known that you have owned your skills, like you have made such a beautiful impact personally in my life and also all your audience's life. So I would want to say you talk about a lot of mental health and all the issues with your words, like words is your power. And you use them so accurately. I just want to know, like, what sparked you towards something like, did you always desire to write about mental health and making an awareness out there, or it was just uh, simultaneously you got into this?
I always have felt that art has a purpose, that there is a larger purpose to what is being said. Of course, I also feel that, nothing that we're creating is absolutely new or original. There is something of the sort that has been spoken many, many years ago by, more profound or well known poets. So there is no real, and I genuinely feel this on a broader level, that there is nobody who's actually doing something, you know, groundbreakingly original. It's many, many years
The
of
creation, yeah.
civilization that has existed already, that had, it's got everything that had to be spoken about. So there's rarely anything that's new being spoken. Where I really feel, that art gets its value or meaning is when it's paired up with causes or, social issues you feel strongly about, or when you use your art as a medium to have conversations on things that need to be spoken about.
Yeah.
Sadly, in India, I feel that right now artists are underutilized. They're not given the platform to be, as vocal or as useful or as powerful as harbingers of change as they can be. And
Mm.
this is just, say, Instagram is a free platform for me to be able to say what I want to say, without worrying about
Yeah.
who's reading it, how
People's
they're
opinion,
perceiving it.
yes.
So I try to maximize this, and I will say this, that I have very vocally wanted to talk about body positivity. I have tried to talk about just the LGBTQI community and their inclusion, and just being very mindful of how we position our speech, our words, our actions towards a community that's been alienated,
Yeah.
and on the side of margins for us. So, I
Yeah.
try to make sure that there is some sort of messaging or relevance that I'm building with what I'm saying. Of course, a lot of my writing is also free flowing thoughts. It's just,
Yeah.
random things that I think about. It's about emotions. So it's not really particularly focused on, say, a particular social theme that I'm covering. But yes, it is a
Yes. Yes.
conscious thought to include more things which will have an impact and spark a conversation wherever it's needed.
Yes. So, do you come across such situations in your daily life where you think, I have to pen this down? Or, when you sit with writing, you just come across that thought crosses your mind. So, that's when you pen down. So, how does the flow goes?
So there is both a method and a madness to any creative thing that you do.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm more method or more madness, but I do think that, earlier I was very disciplined. I think before the
Okay.
pandemic, I was very disciplined. I had a routine when I used to go to office, come back, all of that. So I used to manage my time for writing basis that. Right now I'm working
Yes.
from home. So there is no real, demarcation of time, which is why I am more sporadic with my thinking. Whenever I feel like saying something, I say it. I'm not really, regulating or carving out time for it. But yes, if there is somebody who's listening and who wants to think about becoming a writer or putting their work out there, there has to be both method and madness. There has to be a time when you're dedicatedly sitting down, thinking, pondering. Also, to a large extent, reading, because the fodder for writing
Yes.
comes through reading. Input is what dictates output. So when you're
Absolutely. Yes.
reading, when you're um, understanding the language, the grammar, the way the words have to be spun, that is when you're
Yes.
doing your groundwork. But when you're writing is when you're putting out your work into the open, and open to interpretation. So I think there has to be both a dedicated schedule to discipline yourself and write, and there also has to you also have to give yourself the time to um,
Yes.
feel something instantaneously and
Yes.
jot it
Yes.
down.
Yes.
So it has to be balanced. I think that's just super fun. um and
Yes.
social media is made to share things that you think on the go, so there is no
Yeah.
real point of hindering that thought. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So you have also done a one workshop just before the pandemic, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Yes. So how was your experience and how did you come up with the thought of, having a writing workshop? And what are your workshops? Like in future, if you come across any other workshops, so what will that cover? Like it will be very beneficial for the audience watching to, join in for the next workshops that's coming in near future if you ever plan to.
Sure. I mean, I've done a bunch of online workshops, and while they've been really fun, I mean, they can be as fun as how much you can interact with a person on the screen. So,
Yeah.
I had just before the pandemic done a massive workshop with over 20 participants in Innovate, in Connaught Place in Delhi. So, it was a very central location, good timing. A lot of people turned up. I hadn't actually, anticipated so many people coming for it. So I was really pleasantly surprised. And the
Mm.
theme that I try to cover in my workshop is simply how to structure your thoughts. So when somebody sits down to write, it's difficult to know a starting point, to know how to build on things. So how do you actually
Yeah.
put structure, or organize your thoughts, or how do you build on something that you've had in your mind and you probably just need a push? A lot of people also come to these workshops to come out of their creative, when they have, say, a writer's block, or they're having a spell where
Mm.
they're just not productive. So I've tried to sort of make these workshops work for both intermediate writers and people who are just starting out. I mean, I'm not, say, a professionally trained person in writing. I have actually studied commerce. So all of my you know insights on writing are all self-learned. I have read them on the internet. I've picked them up from different sources. So this is basically my years of research that I try to put in a capsule and deliver in my workshops. And yeah, I hope that it really works for people. So whenever I'm coming up with another workshop, I hope it can happen in person. I really don't see that happening because of Omicron and all of the news that I'm reading, which
Yes.
is really, really terrifying. Looks like another lockdown is impending. But I mean, I really hope that I can have another workshop very, very soon
You
where I
will have
can
very
take
soon. Yeah.
where I can take these questions
I-
and interact with people. I would absolutely love that.
yes. So any online workshops coming in anytime soon?
Not really, not so the other part of the entire year has been that it's been a very tiring year. Although we've
Yeah.
stayed at home, it has sort of taken a mental toll on just the way I just think people are done with Zoom workshops. I just don't
Yeah.
see them
Yeah.
excited about it. So there's no point of
Yes.
scheduling something when everybody is just collectively exhausted. So I'm just going to wait for a
Yeah.
good time when I can have everyone excited and we can sit down and chat and interact. And that's how it's supposed to be, right? Full of energy
Yes,
and
that's
joy.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, and also I think words are like connecting with through the heart. So, when you're just giving a in-person workshop that connects people in deeper levels, like spiritually, you get connected with, of course, your poetries are wonderful. Like they touch the souls. And
Thank
also I feel it has impacted a lot in my life. Like I just came across you very randomly and this daily dose of these short words, like small pieces, I was like just few words and it already hits deep. So that's amazing. And I remember you have in one of your TEDx speech, of course, you have mentioned about this one follower of yours reaching out to you while they were having suicidal thoughts. Like, please let us know about this whole incident again, and how have you managed this and felt about this? Like, it's a very sensitive. If someone's reaching out to you saying that they are having suicidal thoughts or any so, of course, you'll just be moved in the first. So, how
you.
have you managed this?
So actually, and this is a very startling fact, but I get people telling me every now and then, and if I were to put a frequency to it, every week, say three people tell me that, can you help us out? We're not going through the best phase in our mental space, or our mental health. And sadly or fortunately, I feel like they can confide in me. However, I do make sure that they know that I'm not the right person to help them out. I'm not a psychologist. So I cannot be the person that gives them advice, and it would be absolutely you know reckless of me to do so. This incident that you're particularly referring to, it happened in 2017. That was when I had just started with Words Over. It was fresh and it was new, and I was also very new to the space. And there was one person who used to message me every now and then. He used to keep talking.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day he messaged me, thanks for your words that gave me a little more time on earth. That's all he said. And this was when, this is morning, I think 10-11 a.m. I am in office. I just happened to check my DMs, and this is the message that I get. I am really shook because I have no idea how to handle this, and of course this is terrifying. I don't know how another person would react, but I was completely shook at that point in time. So what I thought would be the best way to go about it is to keep talking to that person. I figured out where he lived, what he did, all of that, and I made sure that I alerted somebody who lived in the same city to be around this person. And I also called up the helplines that could probably help this person out and all of that. um Eventually this person, I know, we kept talking, and he he let go of his suicidal thoughts. I don't think I have anything to do with it. It's just a matter of I think intervention at the right time. But I feel like that person has completely stopped talking to me. He doesn't speak to me anymore, and it was just a very random relationship we had. But that impact, that just knowing that I was probably able to help him out in some way, or just realizing how deeply embedded mental health problems are in the youth of today. And that boy was 21 at that point in time. It's crazy to even think about. the fact that our young are going through so much and they don't have the right channels to talk about it. Of course, now social media, Google, all of these tools are so developed and so well positioned that people have an awareness, and they feel like this is a good starting point, or they know who to go out, who to reach out to when something of that sort happens to them. But to think of it, there is no conversation in it in vernacular languages for people who don't understand English. Hindi mein, how do you explain the concept of mental health to anybody? I don't even know a translation, although
Yeah.
Hindi is one of the languages that I completely understand. Even for that matter, I don't even know how to explain the thought of mental health to my grandparents who only speak in native languages, in Oriya, in Bengali, and all of that. So I really don't know how to explain this to somebody else who's not somebody from our generation who has access to Google or WhatsApp or Instagram, or who understands what mental health practitioners really do.
Yeah.
So I have tried to, I don't think my work has anyway been very, very focused on this. I feel like I'm very, very I could do much more, and I'm still learning my way through it. However, I feel that I'm very happy that the internet space has become more kinder, more warmer, more affectionate, and more embracing of people who probably do not feel represented, or who
Yeah.
probably are at a point in life where they would really appreciate support from somebody uh, in terms of their mental health. So yeah, it's important to kind of spark those conversations as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I also have came across such situations where, it was very difficult as a psychology student also. It was very difficult for me to explain to the elders that there is something called mental health. There is something called depression exists. Like people have difficulty handling, managing their emotions, understanding, having self-awareness. So, of course, words do not heal people completely, but then words give an insight to their inner self, I feel, because when that person reached out to you, something, of course, words have hurt him, like words hurt people a lot. So
Hmm.
something in your words made a difference, that that person had the courage to come up to you, because of course maybe in his life it was just you who he could come across, and you did your best to help him. Like that's the kindest thing. Internet, now people come across so many people out there that have a voice, and they reach out to them, and it is very good to see that people helping them. So that's absolutely amazing. And I would also like to ask you this very interesting question, because I really want to know this, as I'm a
Sure.
huge lover of your words. So you have impacted a lot of lives, not just one. Just one person has come across you, but then you have impacted so many
That's
of your
very
audience.
kind of you
I
to
would
say.
I would like to know, when are you, like, is there anytime soon you're authoring a book in the near future? Anytime soon? Any
Wow.
project going on? Please spill the tea
No,
here.
sadly, I'm not authoring a book anytime soon. I don't know why, but I don't feel ready. And a lot of people think, there is this shelf life of an artist, that when you're getting attention, or you have an audience, or you have some people reading you, and you have people asking you when your book's coming out and all of that. That's great. That's the time when that's the opportune time when you should be coming up with a book, putting it out to the world. However, every book that I have here on the shelf, and I've not done this like मतलब यही जगह खाली थी घर में, इसलिए मैं यहाँ बैठी हूँ.
Yeah.
But the thing is, all the books that occupy a space in my shelf, I feel like they have something so valuable to say. Like, I'm very choosy about the books I pick. I feel like as long as you have something that's absolutely valuable to say, to put out to the world, otherwise there is no, I mean, there is enough noise in the market with books, with podcasts, with videos. Just the amount of consumption of content is on the rise. Okay, and it's been the highest it's ever
Yeah.
been in the entire lifetime of humans. but
Yes.
but as long as I don't have anything absolutely valuable to say or add, and I feel like I'm still in the process of learning myself, so I don't feel ready yet. but I think hopefully in a few years I will be in that position where I feel confident and I don't have any imposter syndrome, and I will be able to put out a book which, you know, is worthy of like me saying to you, I hope this will contribute positively to your life, so please go ahead and pick up a copy. I want to be, you know, sure of that when I say it with all honesty and honesty.
Yes,
So yeah, that's the goal.
you will do it very soon, I feel, because you're already coming up with great pieces, and also you started podcasting in recent times. So
Right.
like, is your podcast and with the same name? Everyone, Tuhina has a podcast with the same name, Words of Worth. Like, I feel maybe are you repurposing your content out there, or there is something new coming up there, or you have planned totally different on that platform, whereas to Instagram.
Right. So what I really like about podcasting is that it's very like I listen to podcasts a lot, and I listen to them while I'm working, sometimes while I'm, you know, traveling, which I feel like is a companion. Okay, like I sometimes feel like the people I listen to as podcasters are just my family members only because I know them so well. So for podcasts, what I've been really thinking about is I'm bored of listening to my own voice on the podcast, so I want to get guests onto it. People who are asking where you can hear my podcast, you can listen to it on Spotify, you can listen to it on actually any leading streaming platform. It's on Apple podcasts also, it's on Anchor FM, Ghana, wherever. So any leading podcast host would actually have it. But yeah, the point is that I want to keep the podcast more conversational, and which is why I'm working on the season 2 for it. So it's going to be out hopefully in a couple of months. I want to get more guests, get it more fun, and share more insights, and not just about social issues, but just generally how do you know, a lot of people ask me, you know, how do people manage both their day jobs and a passion project? You know, I want to get people who do that. I want to get insights for myself as well. So I want to have a fun time on the podcast. So hopefully in a few months, 2022 is where I'm really hoping to make it happen.
Okay. So yes, we are excited for that. And so you were a banker. So was your writing career like it sparked in 2016, as you told? So
Right.
did both of these have a clash, or you had this inner calling saying, no, it's writing now, and I think banking is not happening for me anymore?
You know, actually, I have tried to go through the safest way possible. And I don't think I need to command myself for that. But like the fact that I could have a full-time day job that did not worry me about getting money and through writing is a huge, huge help, I feel. Because when you're a full-time artist, just getting your
Yeah.
gigs, which are going to be absolutely freelance, unless you start working with an organization again, which is again a job. So as a freelancer, the market is difficult, and I have never want like I've done that for a bit and I've not enjoyed it a lot. What I've really enjoyed is doing a daytime job which has the stability to fund me for my passion projects. And also, you know, just another aspect of my personality is that, you know, I've been somebody who likes to work in a structured, organized environment. So I have really enjoyed having a daytime job, a full-time job, with, you know, doing this as a passion project. Another thing is when you start linking the thing you love with the money you bring in, it sucks the joy out of it. So, you know, if I were to do projects that are, you know, completely that demand my time, and then, you know, I'm paid monetarily for it, I will be writing for someone else completely. It won't be truly me. And it's very difficult to get that balance. You know, a lot of times now I feel that influencers who do paid collaborations, it just shows through the inauthenticity. And I'm not saying that everyone's doing that, but I sometimes feel that that inauthenticity in your writing is what will very instantly be caught by people who are reading you. So I don't want to mix my work and my play. My writing is really my play. It's the thing that keeps me really, really happy. So I have tried to keep my job so that I can focus on my writing as a thing that I do purely out of passion and nothing else. So yeah, that.
And this is the reason you haven't, yes, this is the reason you haven't taken up freelance writing or something like that. You mentioned in one of your posts, or, I guess your live sessions.
Right.
earlier.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that I don't do any like writing gigs with brands. Not that I'm opposed to it, as long as you know the concept and the idea and all of that is, fit in such a way that the artist also has enough creativity to work around it. But I don't want the joy to be sucked up. If everything is deadline related, everything is matched to a performance metric, what is going to be the joy in writing or just
Yes,
creating from the
letting you get.
yeah, yeah, I mean, it's restricting in some way or the other. I hope a lot of people are able to
Yes.
get what I'm trying to say. But yeah.
Yeah, so like we need to have, few habits, I would say, like something that brings you joy, something that brings you money. So it needs to be different. Everything cannot be same. I have observed myself when, uh I do something like if I have a deadline to complete, my creative juices never flow. So it is a must that I need to have my own free space to come up with great pieces, poetries and works. And yeah, that has a great benefit of having this self realization or self introspection. That's the process of writing or anything related to art. So
Correct.
you have also, yes, you have also, I learned this recently that you you are a regular with the practice of journaling.
Yeah.
So what was your inspiration behind starting journaling 3 years ago? Like it's not since a long time, but it's 3 years ago. So I would like to know, like, what's something that sparked you to come up with something, such a conscious practice and mindful practice, journaling? Or do you also involve in art journaling, or what kind of journaling do you do?
So this is again a gift from the internet. 3 years ago, there was a lot of chatter about gratitude journaling, and sounds very fancy. I read up about it, and then it basically said taking out like 5 minutes of your time, sitting down,
Yeah.
and just jotting down the things you're thankful for. That's it. It can be as free flowing as you want. It can be as structured as you want. People also like to include in this affirmations, and I mean, there's a whole meme page about it now, which is really funny. But
Yes.
affirmations basically mean things you say to yourself to make yourself continuously believe in this. A lot of people like to write, a lot of people don't like to write, they like to think it. And some
Yes.
people don't even think about it in, like a I'm going to take out 5 minutes and do it sort of a way, but they do it eventually. The thousands of thoughts we get in a day, this is one of the thoughts where hey, I'm doing right and I'm going to be continuing on my path or something. So gratitude journaling basically is this practice of just sitting down, taking out 5 minutes in the morning or the night, wherever you're comfortable, whatever time works for you, and just basically saying out loud to the universe or God or whoever you
Yes.
believe in, the higher power, that thank you for giving me these things, and I look forward to these things. And I mean, every day you can have endless number of things to be grateful about.
Number of times. Yes.
What this really has helped me with is, earlier in this year, there was a really dark time when the COVID cases, the second wave, was
Yes.
so bad. And I had also gotten COVID at that point in time. There were family members who were affected. There was this entire craziness going on in the second wave in Delhi at that time with the oxygen shortage and all of that. And it was a terrible, terrible time. And I think those few months were so difficult for people, even
Yes.
who just were able who were just basically witnessing everything, and there wasn't anything happening to them personally. I feel like those were really terrible times, and gratitude journaling was one of the things that really helped me clear my head. Every time that I faced a low in my life in the last 3 years, I think gratitude journaling has really helped me, and it helps people in different ways. For some people,
Mm.
writing might not be the best solution,
Yes.
something else might be. But I have felt that writing really helps you take from a system take out from your system anything that you wanted to say, and you don't necessarily
Yes.
have to say it to a person. So you can say goodbye to all the judgment or bias or anything that will come from another person listening to it. So sometimes you need to
Yes.
just get things out of your system, and journaling really, really helps with that.
Yes, like most of us, talk to ourselves in a very negative way, because of course there are so many things going on in the internet which which is like not so true, but we are tend to believe that it's true or something like that. So we just tend to believe that we lack self-esteem, we lack we are not worth of something, and that is the reason like affirmations help people a lot, maybe talking it out, maybe looking at the mirror, talking to yourself or writing down. So yes, so are you just into gratitude journaling or art journaling as well, or any such like having a journal of writings and stuff?
It's mostly gratitude. I don't do any art journaling as such, not like in a conscious way. Sometimes I just
Yeah.
pick up pens and do whatever just to feel um, lighter and better. And I feel like,
Yes,
a
yes.
lot of people, like, I would like to really bring this up, is that everybody now has, the internet has somehow made everybody believe that if you have a skill, you should capitalize on it, you should monetize it, you
Mm.
should use it to your advantage, that you are building an audience, or you have people saying that, wow, kitna acha gati hai, kitna acha likhti hai, whatever.
Mm.
But that's not always the aim. The aim is sometimes to just do things because they make you feel happy, and there
Yes.
doesn't have to be, say, a monetary angle attached to it, or there doesn't have to be praise coming your way because of that. Sometimes you do things just to be a full-fledged human being with with just activities and passions and hobbies that they like to do.
Mm.
So
Yes.
this is again a thing I really like to tell people when they say, what, you sing really well, why don't you make reels singing? You don't have to give out everything of yours to the internet. Some things can be
Mm.
kept
Have a
private and
very
held
free
close.
space. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it with your friends, do it with your close circle. If you really feel like it, do it with the world. Nobody cares. But just because you have a passion, you don't have to be, one, great at it, two, you don't have to do it for money. That's very important.
Yes. That's true. That's true. So, like journaling or any writing, like as an artist, did things in your life, like elements of your life, did it have any spiritual change or otherwise?
Because of journaling,
Yes.
I think yes. I don't. I'm not very religious. I'm of course religious to the effect that I'm respecting my religion and the, all of that I'm born into. But I really feel like there is this higher power that's
Yes.
sort of helping us out. You can call it the universe, you can call it whatever. That's up to you. Gratitude journaling is just basically consciously speaking to that higher power and
Yes.
saying,
Yes.
um, I thank you for the things that you've given me. I look forward to this. I am sorry I didn't do good, great here, whatever. You don't have to necessarily write it, as I said, but just that consciously reflecting on how you're doing
Being
in life.
aware of.
Just
Yes.
being aware, yeah, it just makes you feel so good. And I think once I read it somewhere that it takes about 21 days to develop a habit. So just try doing
Yes.
it for 21 days, see if it works for you. If it does, that's great, continue with it. If not, maybe something else would be your cup of tea, so you keep exploring and you reach to that point
Yes.
as and when you do.
Yeah, people think even a slight change, like that, there has to be a huge change, which is not actually the truth. You just have a slight change in how you feel daily, like having a positive feeling when you wake up. Most of us wake up, tired and just complaining about the day, even when it did not start. But journaling does have a shift in your emotions and feelings. Like you're just grateful for the fact that you're even drinking water, for the
Yeah,
fact that you're doing the daily activities. Like you're just aware that this has come to me. Like this is a huge thing. So, yes.
absolutely.
So, yeah. So, we just ending this thing, but before we end it, we have a rapid fire round with you.
Wow,
So,
full
are you ready
coffee
for
with
that?
Karan is happening.
Yes.
Nice.
See, are
Let's
you,
do it.
yes. So,
Nice.
are you ready? Just,
Yeah,
yeah. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So, who, in your opinion, is the most underread author?
There's this person called Ocean Vuong, who's an American Vietnamese writer. He has now become very popular on the internet, but he, I think, deserves a lot more praise and love. And Ocean Vuong, everyone, please try to read his work if you can. It's amazing.
Yes. So, the next question goes, you really must read.
You really must read Sadat Hassan Manto. I have his book right here. It's called Bitter Fruit,
Yes.
a compilation of his short stories. And he was a pre-independence writer based in India, now Pakistan. And his stories are very telling of that time, of how the society was, or how, just the equation between men and women used to play out. And these are basically stories that were written in Urdu that have been translated. And I have, I read it when I was really young. I read it when I was in class 11th or 10th or something. And I found them to be absolutely revelatory. So please do read
That is.
Satya Hasan Manto.
So, what is the book that made you cry?
Kite Runner by,
Yeah,
yeah,
Khalid Hosseini.
Khalid Hosseini. Yeah.
So, what's your favorite writing snack?
Oh, anything that's spicy. Anything spicy, chatpata would be
Oh,
what yeah, totally.
absolutely. You just get those creative juices flowing very fast, right?
I'm not a sweet type of person, but yeah.
Yeah, same high five with that. So, three writers, living or dead, you would invite for dinner.
Ooh, ये तो बड़ा ही tough है. Okay. I think
Could be anyone, could be anyone.
I think Agatha Christie, because I grew up reading so much of her work. Roald Dahl, again, because I grew up reading so much of his work. And Ocean Vuong, as I said, somebody who I really admire in modern day. Vikram Seth also, I would actually really love to interview. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So, three things that you carry all the time. Could be
My
anything.
my phone, a small like sachet of green tea or coffee, something chota I will have. And what else? My earphones. I mean, that's a very practical
Okay.
answer, but yeah, music all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so advice for writers?
Advice for writers is be authentic. Um, in my few years of work, writing, what I've really admired and I've seen in people is when people are authentic about what they're saying, it really does bring a lot of appeal.
Absolutely, yes.
So be authentic. Yeah.
Okay, so for the me time, would you prefer a park or a book cafe?
Sorry, a park or a cafe? I
Yes,
have
book cafe.
I'm more in the park zone right now, but yeah, it can be cafe also.
Nature's.
Yeah, I would
Okay,
really want to
depending
go.
on the situation.
Yeah, depending.
Okay, so that's yes. So before that, we like before we end our session, so rapid fire round is done. We have audience questions. Okay,
Yeah.
so I have noted like a few audience questions. That's like, what's your hack to attain a flow state? So you are consistent. Yes, I have noticed the same, and I really love this question because I want to know like how do you keep that creative juices flowing and consistent with the digital world, like Instagram or beat anything. It just has to be the algorithm is something like you have to be there to
Right.
let people know. So what makes it easier for you?
What makes no, it doesn't. It's not easy to be consistent with your writing at all. It's just as I have said, there has to be method and madness both. So sometimes I like allocate time to sit and write and create a piece because I feel like it's important to sit down and jot down things and share. Of course, I have created like this. I feel like I treat it as a project which I have to do. I don't treat it as a side hobby that ठीक है जब मन करा, so I will get up and write
Yes.
something. And I dedicate time to it and I do it. Of course, also there is the algorithmic aspect that if you're not consistent, you will not find people to be reading your work very often, and that sort of does scare me. I mean, of course, who in the digital world is not worried about audience reading them?
Yes.
But more importantly, just being very true to yourself when you are creating something, saying that hey, I've created this blog, I've created this space, I want to deliver on it, and coming up to your writing desk. That's basically that I try to do, what I try to do.
Okay. That's good. That's good. So what is that one quote that always is in your mind?
It's called Life is Tough, but so are you. And I really like it. I
Nice.
like
I
it
love
for
it.
the
I
I
really
like it for how short but how
yet
meaningful.
powerful it is.
Yeah. I don't know
Yes.
who said it, but it's one quote that I've never been able to sort of get out of my mind.
That's amazing. Yeah, actually, it's very powerful. It just gives you that Yes, I can conquer the whole world
Yeah.
feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, who was your high school teacher or a primary school teacher or any lecturer or professor was a part of your life? Like, has a major impact in your life?
Right. So, recently I also saw this video of Adele meeting her old teacher,
Oh,
and
an English
that's,
teacher. Yeah.
yeah, her old English teacher who really used to, appreciate her for her, music and all of that. And
Yes.
I remembered at that instance, there was this teacher in my school called Mr. Radhakrishnan sir. He didn't teach my class, but he, just by the, in the morning assembly or sometime I used to meet him, and he used to motivate me so much. So, I have really crazy curly hair, okay, and I was very,
Yeah.
you could point me out in a crowd because of my hair. And he used to tell, the simple things like, he taught me how to be more comfortable with my hair, at that point in time when you're a teenager, and you see all these girls with glossy beautiful straight hair, and you're like, I mean, I wish I also had that.
Yeah.
uh, there was a teacher who, I don't know how he knew, but he used to say all the right things to me. Sometimes he used to come in and take like those empty, empty periods that you have when no teacher has turned up. So
Yeah.
he used to come and take those sessions, and he always used to say really nice things, motivate everyone. And I really, really liked that. So he didn't teach my class really, but he was this one person
Yes.
who always really encouraged me. And I think
Yes.
everybody needs to have one teacher like that who really shows them the path.
Yes. That kindness and that push is always needed. And of course, I feel teachers do a huge part in our lives. They do play a
Absolutely.
huge part in our lives. Yes.
Absolutely.
So our last question goes like, how was your first open mic experience?
It was actually not terrifying. I've never been nervous going up on stage. I've been fairly confident. So it wasn't about, getting those jitters on going up on stage. But it was more like, will my poem land, or will people understand what I'm trying to say?
And
Is this poem strong enough, worthy enough? Is it, packed with a punch? So I was more concerned, and I've always been more concerned about matter than delivery. And that's how my first open mic was. It was, I mean, I did win the second prize in my first open mic.
congratulations.
अरे वो तो बहुत पहले की बात है, but I'm just
That
saying.
still is the achievement that stays forever.
Yeah,
Like
I
the
mean, of
first,
course.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course it does, but I just feel like anybody who's shy or who's thinking too much about going up on an open mic, I learned this trick when I was doing theater. Sometimes the worst thing you can do for yourself is embarrass yourself on stage. But once you've done it, there's nothing worse than that
Then that,
than that, yeah.
yeah.
Than that, basically. Then उससे ज़्यादा बुरा तो कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता. So you just go up there, do what you have to do. Even if you get embarrassed, you've already seen the worst. Now the better things will happen. So I really
Yeah.
have, and I've experienced this for myself. Somebody had told me this when I was in college, that when you're really, really worried about doing something, just go and fail at it. It's fine. Like, just fail at it.
Yeah.
You will now know what not to do. And this is the absolute low that you've already seen. So what is the worst that can come out of this? It's really
Absolutely.
helped me. Some people might be like,
Yeah,
this
you
is
have to.
such a stupid, sort of advice, because
Mm,
we don't want to embarrass ourselves. Sometimes just to spark something in yourself, you have to see the
have to
absolute worst. Yeah.
worst, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have any poetries to read out now or anything you want to share with the audience? Any of your pieces?
I can actually. 1 second. I
Yeah,
have.
sure, sure. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. So there's this piece that I recently wrote, very small, but I'm going to read it out anyway.
Mhm.
One day, One day your eyes won't strain when you look up at the sun. You will know exactly that the sun always bent towards you, that the flowers slid their gentle smell into your soul from the places you were wounded, and that the ocean called out your name each time it howled with the wind. That this universe conspired, with or without your knowledge at times, to push you closer to things you wished to pull close, that it waited to give you signs on how truly, wonderfully you were blooming, and how the breeze that touched you got sweeter in taste. One day, you won't be your half written poems. You will not struggle to punctuate your sentences. Your skin and bones won't singe at the touch of a lover. One day, you will be all that they wished for and more, glowing gloriously, maybe with someone, maybe alone.
That's
That's my
beautiful. That's beautiful. I really loved it how, you kept that coming, like ice training. Like, see, your writings are always the best. So
thank
as we
you.
end, the last question would be, what is the advice that you would want to give to people out there, to our audience, that managing office or like corporate work as well as handling passion, like not leaving your passion, because that is something that keeps you alive, I would say. Yeah.
I
So
think the
how do you
more
manage
things
both
you
work
do,
life and passion?
right, absolutely. So I think the more things you do, the more happier you are in life. I really feel that. The more fulfilled you feel at the end of the day. And if you really have something which is a passion project that you've, kept at the back burner and you waited for, someday, some, fortune, showering
Yes.
day to come and then you start, I think really there is no better time to start than now. Both statistically, because right now the digital internet consumption is at an all-time high in terms of numbers to
Yes.
come in. This is more than
Maybe there's a problem in your connection. I cannot hear you. Okay, accept. Okay, yeah. So Tuhina had a problem. So here she is again. Okay.
high.
Yes. Okay. It's
Sorry.
okay. It's okay. We're back.
Yeah, I don't know what
It's okay.
happened. It just went kaput. But okay. Yeah, what I was saying is, there's no better time than now to start if you really want to start. Another thing is, be very authentic when you start. There is already, of
Yes.
course, when you look at the internet, a lot of spaces that have been filled by people that make you believe that following a certain path is what is going to be, give you a
Yes.
right direction, or कि ऐसे ही लिखने से you get more people to read you or whatever. This is the way you should dress to be a fashion influencer. Um,
Yes.
there's no rule. There is one person, everybody comes in with a thought. If they really come in with a thought and a structure and the way they want to go ahead with it, there is space for everybody on the spectrum. So don't try to ape a well-known formula that's worked for someone else. There are so many people needed to
Yes.
fill in so many different spaces and roles, and your voice is, of course, another addition to the world that's absolutely needed. So if you were ever wondering if you need to speak up or not, there is no question about it. If you really feel it strongly, do it right now.
That was amazing. Like, thank you for joining in, Tuhina, for this amazing conversation, which was beneficial, impactful, and thank you so much for joining
Thank
in.
you for
And
having
any
me. And this has been, yeah, I've done a live after so long, but I'm so glad I did
Mm,
it because your questions were also, they really made me think. So thank you so much for
yes,
having me, and I look forward to doing this more often with you all.
yes, sure. So, great weekend to Tuhina.
Same to you as
Yeah.
well, and to everybody who joined in to watch. Thank you so much for your time. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye bye. So we are ending our live here, and thank you so much for everyone who joined in. Please stay tuned for more such interactive conversations every weekend with Weekend Live with hashtag. Thank you so much.